Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be doing a budget deck tech for Chane, Bound by Shadow. So this is going to be a budget deck for the classic constructed version of Chane, and this deck is currently about $100. I usually do like $50 to $100 for my budget deck. I think 100 is about as low as you can get this one, so we're going to be jumping into this today. I think it's a very powerful and aggressive deck that will help you jump into Classic Constructed, which is the premier format of Flesh and Blood. Before we do that, shout out to Whooped 'em Wizard, which is my sponsor. They've got great prices, great shipping. They're really awesome all around. So if you click my link in the description, my affiliate link, go buy their product. I buy all my products for them. They're really great, fast shipping, and at least for me in Florida, no taxes. So yeah, check them out. Now let's jump into the deck here. So usually my budget decks are for more beginners, so I like to I know my channel is a bit of like high level strategy I try to keep it at, but we're going to kind of talk through some of the cards here that a lot of people might already know, just since this is budget, which is usually for more beginners, right? So Chane is a Shadow Runeblade hero, so he can play Shadow cards and Runeblade cards, or Shadow Runeblade cards. And he has the hero ability, once per turn action, create a Soul Shackle token. Your next Runeblade or Shadow action this turn gains Go Again, and then Go Again, right? So very powerful hero ability. You can just basically give anything, almost anything in your deck Go Again, and it also allows you to, get the cards using the Soul Shackle into your banish, right? So Soul Shackle, for every Soul Shackle you have at the beginning of your turn, you put the top card of your deck into your banish zone, right? So if you're at the first turn, you'll make one Soul Shackle, you'll put 1, 2, 2, and it'll keep building up. And you have a lot of cards with Blood Debt, which you can play from your banish zone, so kind of additional card advantage there. Our equipment, we have one of the most powerful weapons in the game, Rosetta Thorn. It is 1 resource to attack with, it swings for 2, but if you've played an attack action card and a non-attack action card, it'll do 2 arcane damage to target hero as well. So for 1 resource, it'll deal 4 total damage if you have met the requirement. Our chest piece here is going to be Aether Ironweave. This blocks for 1 with Battle Worn, so once you defend with it, you put a -1 counter on it when the combat chain closes. And then it has the action to destroy it and gain 2 resources. You can activate this only if you've played an attack action and a non-attack action this turn, and then Go Again. So you'll block with it first because it'll stick around after you block with it, and then you can destroy it if you've met the condition, which is the same condition as the Rosetta Thorn actually, and you'll get 2 free resources. So very, very powerful equipment chest piece there. We have 2 headpieces here. Our main one's going to be Ebb and Fold. Ebb and Fold doesn't block, it has a 0 block, but it has Spell Void too, so if your hero would be dealt arcane damage, you can instead destroy this, and if you do, you prevent that 2 arcane. But that's not what we're going to be using it for much. The main effect is the top part, so as an instant, so this doesn't use the chain, you can do it anytime you have priority. You pay 1 resource and destroy it, you banish a card from your hand. If it's a shadow card, draw a card, right? So this lets you put a card straight into your banish, which is nice because a lot of your cards you can play from banish and draw a card. So if the card you're putting into your banish is able to be played from banish, this is almost 1 resource draw 2, because you're not really losing the card. Nullrune Robe here, we have this Nullrune Robe along with this Crown of Dichotomy, mostly for this arcane barrier function, which is good against Wizard and any decks with a lot of arcane damage. We have a 3rd arcane barrier here in our Vexing Quill hand, which is actually our main arms. It has arcane barrier 1, so you can pay 1 resource to prevent 1 arcane damage, but it also has the action of destroying it and creating 2 Runechant tokens and then Go Again. So Runechant tokens are auras. Whenever you attack with a weapon or attack action, they'll destroy themselves and deal 1 arcane damage to the enemy hero. So you'll basically get 2 free damage from this whenever you want on demand. So really powerful top effect there, and you can block arcane with it until you're ready to use the effect. Lastly, we've got Snapdragon Scalers as our only legs. This has the attack reaction of destroying it, and then target attack action with cost 1 or less gains Go Again. So as an attack reaction, you can destroy this and make your combat chain go even longer. So that'll be all of our equipment. I didn't really talk about the effective Crown of Dichotomy, but it's mostly here for the arcane barrier. So we'll have 3 total arcane barrier between Crown of Dichotomy, Vexing Cool Hand, and Nullrune Robe, which is very powerful to let us stop wizards as well. Our main equipment will be Aether Ironweave, Ebon Fold, Snapdragon Scalers, and Vexing Quill Hand there. Onto the side, or onto the main deck, right? So I just look at it in the sideboard view here. So we are using what's called the Belittle package. So this is a set of cards with Belittle here and Minnowism. Belittle costs 1 resource. It's a generic attack action. It swings for 3. And as an additional cost to play Belittle, you can reveal another attack action card with 3 or less base power from your hand. If you do, you search your deck for a card named Minnowism, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. And this has Go Again as well. Minnowism is a 0-cost action. It has Go Again, and it makes your next attack action with cost 3 or less, with 3 or less base power, gain +1 for the blue or +3 for the red, right? So very good package here. Basically, you grab the blue if you need extra resources, or you grab the red if you need extra damage, right? So very versatile package, and most of our attacks do have 3 or less base power. So very good package there. Running all 9 Bounding Demigons. This is a Shadow Runeblade attack action. It blocks for 3, it costs 0. It swings for either 1, 2, or 3 based on the color. And if you've played a non-attack action this turn, you can play it from your Banished Zone. If you do, it gains +1. It also has Blood Debt, which is the feature of all of these cards that you can play from your Banished Zone. So at the beginning of your end phase, if it's in your Banished Zone, you lose a life, right? So kind of punishes you for keeping these in your Banished Zone, or you can use it as an advantage where you will lose some life, but you can keep them in there for a bigger turn next turn, right? So really great there. Awesome card, costs 0, swings for a good amount, and can pitch for anything we want here. Flock of the Featherwalkers is an attack action. It costs 1 resource and swings for 5. And as an additional cost to play it, you reveal a card in your hand with cost 1 or less, right? So most of our deck is cost 1 or less. And then after you've done that, you'll create a Quicken Aura. And Quicken tokens are basically whenever you attack with an attack action or a weapon, it'll destroy itself and that attack will gain Go Again. So this lets you set up, right? So at the end of your turn, you can swing with this Flock of the Featherwalkers. And then on your next turn, you'll be able to start off with this Quicken token in play. That'll let you do an even bigger turn. We have Ghostly Visit here. This is a shadow attack action. It costs 1 and it swings for 4. You can play it from your Banished Zone. It also has Blood Debt. So this is kind of a very simple, I guess you'd call it vanilla card. Just swings for a lot of damage. It's cheap. You can play it from your Banished. Really good effect there. We're playing the yellow and red Howl from Beyonds. So this is it's action with Go Again. It has Blood Debt. It costs 2, and it blocks for 2. You can play it from your Banished Zone, and the next attack action you play gets either +2 for the yellow or +3 for the red. So another great card you can play from your Banished. The yellows can be more for pitching. The reds deal some good damage. We've talked about the Minnowisms already. Riftbind is another great attack we can play from our Banished Zone. So this one costs 1 resource. It swings for 3. You can play it from your Banished Zone. If you do, it gains +X power, where X is the number of non-attacks you've played this turn. And it has Blood Debt as well. We're playing Shadow Puppetry here. This is a really, really powerful action. It costs 0. It has Go Again. It says the next attack action you play this turn gains +1. It gains Go Again. And it gains, if this hits, look at the top card of your deck, you may banish it, right? So it can even draw you a card in a way. So if you hit with an attack, with an action that's pumped by this, and you see a Riftbind on top, you can banish that Riftbind and you'll be able to play it that turn. Soul Reaping is Chane's legendary specialization, so you can only have 1 in your deck. And Soul Reaping costs 6 resources and swings for 6, but you can just not pay that 6 resources at all. Basically, you should never pay that 6 resources. Instead, you'll use the top effect, which says you may banish 1 or more cards from your hands rather than pay its cost. If you do, you gain 1 resource for each card with Blood Debt banished this way. So it basically is free, and it actually gains you resources. So if you banish 2 Riftbinds from your hand, you play this for free, it'll swing for 6, and you'll gain 2 resources. So really, really powerful card. One of the strongest cards ever, but that's why it's legendary, so you can only have 1 in your deck. Really great card. It doesn't have Go Again on its own unless its bottom effect, which says while it's attacking a hero with 1 or more cards in their soul, it has Go Again. So that's for the 2 light heroes, Bolton and Prism, and if they ever make more for those heroes as well. But yeah, that effect's not going to come up that often, so usually you're going to be giving it Go Again using your hero ability. We're playing the 3 Unhallowed Rites. This is a 1 cost for 4. It has Blood Debt. It's a Shadow Runeblade attack action. If you've played a non-attack action this turn, you can play it from your Banished Zone, so just like Bounding Demagon. And you may put a non-attack action with Blood Debt from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. So this kind of lets you put, usually you'll put a red Howl from Beyond if you've got it, or a yellow Howl from Beyond. And we also have this 1 Steeping Shadows here. It lets you put it back at the bottom of your deck and you'll be able to get that later. So great effect there. We're playing the blue and the red Shrill of Skullform. So this is a 2 cost Runeblade attack action. It says if you've played or created an aura this turn, it gains +3, right? And the blue swings for 2 and the red swings for 4. So it actually is almost always going to have the +3 because when you activate Chane, you'll get that Soul Shackle, and that'll count as creating an aura. So it'll swing for, if you've created that Soul Shackle, this will be a 2 for 5 or a 2 for 7 if it's the red, right? Importantly, the blue also can be revealed to Belittle because it has base power less than 3, right? So really powerful there. Great effect. I mean, if you just activate Chane and then swing with this, it'll be a 2 for 7 go again on the red. So just really powerful there. Great card. New addition from Everfest for Chane. We're playing 2 blue and 3 yellow Captain's Call. This is a 0 cost action with Go Again. It says choose one, the next attack with either cost 0 for the blue or cost 1 for the yellow. You play this turn, gains +2, or the next attack action with cost 0/1 for the yellow. You play this turn, gains Go Again, and has Go Again, right? So you can either give your next attack action Go Again or +2 depending on the circumstances. It's very versatile. We don't have a lot with cost 0, so the blues are mostly for pitching, but the yellows are going to be used almost always. We have a lot of attacks with cost 1 or less, so really powerful there. We're using 1 Steeping Shadows. This is a 3 cost Runeblade action. It has Blood Debt, it has Go Again. You can play it from your Banished Zone, and it gives your next attack action with cost 1 or less, +1 and Go Again. So we're only playing 1 because it's a very expensive card. It costs 3 resources, which is the most of any card in our deck. Most of our cards only cost 1. The only 2 cost cards are these Howl from Beyonds and Shrill of Skullform. So 3 is pretty expensive for us, but we are playing 1. You can usually pitch it early because it's a yellow, and late game you'll get it when you have more blues in your hand, and you'll be able to play this to get your attacks Go Again and go a little wider on your turn. We're playing 3 blue Shadow of Ursa. This is a 0 cost Shadow Runeblade attack action. It swings for 2. You can play it from your Banished Zone. As an additional cost to play it, you can banish a card with Blood Debt from your hand. If you do, it gains Go Again, and this has Blood Debt as well, right? So it can be a 0 for 2 with Go Again that lets you banish a card from your hand. A lot of our cards have effects that are powerful when they're played from Banished, right? So Riftbind, it gets pumped only if it's played from Banished. Bounding Demagon gets pumped by +1 only if it's played from Banished, right? So this can be powerful, lets us put a card into our Banished Zone, and it gains Go Again. It's also a blue, so we can pitch it early, and then it'll be banished later by our Soul Shackles. We're playing 3 blue Vexing Malice. This is a 1 cost Runeblade attack action. It only swings for 1, but it deals 2 arcane damage to target hero. So it's mostly for pitching because it's a blue. But late game, you're going to have pitched it early. Late game, you'll get it back. And sometimes if your opponent only has 1 arcane barrier, they can't prevent both arcane. Because you can only prevent arcane barrier can only be used per instance, right? So if they have 1 arcane barrier, they can't pay for it twice. They can only block 1 of this. So sometimes this will get you that extra lethal damage in. And then we're playing these 3 Mauvrin Skies. This is a 0 cost Runeblade action with Go Again. It gives your next Runeblade attack action Go Again, and if this hits, create a Rune Chant token. So helps you go extra wide on your turns and pitches because it's a blue. So that's the 60 card main deck. Very powerful deck, very aggressive. Our sideboard cards we're going to kind of go over real quick here. So we're playing 2 more Steeping Shadows. These help us do extra power against control decks, right? So against controlling decks, we're going to actually add 8 cards in and go to 68 cards. That'll allow us to get an extra turn or 2 in and go a little wider. So we have these 2 Steeping Shadows, these 2 Tome of Torments, which is a 0 cost shadow action. It has Blood Debt. You can play it from your Banished Zone and it draws you a card. It doesn't have Go Again, so you'll have to use your Soul Shackle here to give this Go Again. Then we're playing 3 Time Snap Potions, which is a 0-cost action. It's an item, so you'll put it in play at the end of your chain because it doesn't have Go Again, and you don't have any way to give it Go Again. But as an action, you can destroy it and gain 2 action points. So late game, this will let you go a little wider. We're also playing 3 Talisman of Warfares here. So this is a 0-cost to Go Again. It's an action item. So this is a non-attack action with Go Again, which is pretty nice. It says when a source you control deals exactly 2 damage to an opposing hero, you destroy this and then destroy all cards in all arsenals. So make sure you don't have anything in your arsenal. But if you can deal exactly 2 damage, which isn't too hard for our deck. I mean, we have these Shadow of Ursers that deal 2. We have some Bounding Demogons that deal 2. And notably also our Rosetta Thorn deals 2 separate instances of 2. So either of those will count. You'll destroy this and it'll destroy both cards and every card in an arsenal, right? All cards in all arsenals. So try not to have a card in your arsenal when this happens so you don't lose it. But if you can make sure there's nothing in your arsenal when you activate this effect, you'll get to destroy the opponent's arsenal, which is really awesome. And we'll play these 3 Runic Reclamations. This is a 3-cost Runeblade attack action. It swings for 7 because it's pretty expensive. It costs 3. And when it hits a hero, it'll destroy an aura they control if you do create a Runechant token. So this is just for Prism. Helps our Prism matchup out. These will come in against Prism there. Like I said, against Control, we're going to add all 7 of these cards in. I think I said 68. I meant 67. So you'll add these cards in against a Control deck. Decks that use their arsenal a lot, like combo decks, you're going to add in these Talisman of Warfares. And against Prism, you'll add in these Runic Reclamations here. Pretty simple outside of that. You're an aggro deck, you're going face. We're just going to look at what kind of additions we can make to the deck, and then we'll look at the price real quick. So the additions, there's a lot you can upgrade if you decide you really like the deck and you want to put some money into it. So the first upgrade I would say is this is the equipment. Almost all the equipment can be upgraded. So we've got Carrion Husk, which is his legendary Shadow Chest. It blocks for 6. Which is a really high number, but then it has the downside of Blood Debt, so it'll just slowly damage you. So you have to make sure you block for it at the right time. It'll destroy itself if you're at 13 or less life, so you have to make sure you block with it before then. The other equipment we can upgrade is Arcanite Skullcap, Grasp of the Arknight, and Spellbound Creepers. So all of our equipment pieces can be upgraded. I would prioritize them in order of Carrion Husk first, and then Spellbound Creepers second, and then Grasp of the Arknight third. Actually, probably Grasp of the Arknight second, and then Spellbound Creepers third, and then Arcanite Skullcap last. Outside of that, the most important card that we're missing is these 3 Artivores. These are the most important card in the main deck we're missing. These are really good to have in the deck. Eclipse is his legendary specialization. This is also a legendary card in rarity. We're also missing this Gorganian Tome. We're missing these Swarming Gloomveils, these Revel in Runebloods, and these Command and Conquers. I think if you're going to add cards to the deck, the order is probably Artivore first, then Swarming Gloomveil, then Eclipse, then Revel in Runeblood, and then Command and Conquer last. They're kind of the least important. We're also missing these Avert Existence. These aren't that expensive, but they're only good when you have Eclipse. These are a really good anti-control package, so when you buy the Eclipse, I would buy these 3 Inverts. These cards, like, I think $40. These are about 2 apiece, so buy those together. That's the upgrades. I'll have this deck as well, along with the budget deck. As always, I kind of like to check. I think it's having some trouble adding it in right now for some reason when I looked earlier. I always remove the hero and the weapon because it'll usually give you the promotional expensive tournament version of that, which is like $100 when they're actually just free tokens. Yeah, so it's having trouble showing me the price, but I guess you'll just have to take my word for it that when I checked earlier, it was around $100 for the full budget deck, and those will be the upgrades. So if you have any questions, I think Chane's a great spot right now. He's a really powerful aggro deck. So leave questions in the comments below. Remember to check out my affiliate link for Whoop'em Wizard in my description. Yeah, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.